It's Tuesday, July 22nd. In the headlines, Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort, addresses public concerns about the pace of Jamaica's constitutional reform process. In business news, fake Blue Mountain coffee in China. Regionally, new U.S. ambassador to Haiti prioritizes security amid escalating gang violence. And Health Ministry tackles over 1,800 nursing vacancies in Trinidad and Tobago. In sports, West Indies to face Australia in the second T20 international match at Sabina Park. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort, has addressed recent public concerns about the pace of Jamaica's constitutional reform process, asserting that significant groundwork has been laid to transition the country into a republic. In a media statement, Minister Malahoo Fort pointed to several key milestones, including the publication of recommendations by the Constitutional Reform Committee, the passage of a bill amending Section 61 of the Constitution, and the tabling of the Constitution Amendment Republic Bill 2024. She described these developments as clear indicators that Jamaica is closer than ever to becoming a republic. However, the minister acknowledges that greater progress might have been achieved with a more unified national approach. She notes that such collaboration could have accelerated the bill's passage and allowed the second phase of reform to begin under the current parliamentary term. Responding to concerns that the Republic Bill may not be debated or voted on before the next general election, Minister Malahoo Fort explains that constitutional timelines govern the legislative process. She outlines a mandatory 3-month waiting period before the bill can be debated, followed by another 3 months before it can be put to a vote. The bill was tabled in December 2024 and sent to a joint select committee in January 2025. However, the committee's work was disrupted when opposition members, including the leader of the opposition, withdrew after the first meeting. Their departure was in protest of the government's decision to delay discussions on Jamaica's final appellate court, a matter slated for the next phase of reform. Minister Malahoo Fort emphasizes the current phase of the constitutional reform is still ongoing. 86 Jamaicans received their land titles in Westmoreland recently from the Housing Agency of Jamaica, HAJ. Speaking at the handover ceremony, Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Central, George Wright, said the handover is a great moment for Jamaica as these families in Westmoreland now own their own land. He acknowledged the work done by the HAJ to make this opportunity possible.
Today we gather to celebrate a milestone in our nation's journey towards providing shelter and security for all. The Housing Agency of Jamaica has been the forefront of this endeavor, working tirelessly to address the pressing issue of land tenure and housing for thousands of our citizens.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, in his remarks, said the occasion marked the vision of his administration to expand home ownership in Jamaica.
We are here to advance a vision of broad-based land and home ownership in Jamaica. 86 of you from the communities I've just named, namely White House, Whitehall, Land Isle, Seaton Crescent, Galloway, and Hermitage in Betheltown, will walk away from this ceremony with a document that has eluded you and many others for far too long. A certificate of title.
He says the HAJ has over 7,000 titles ready. They're only able to give out 50 of those titles, as some people still owe money. In other instances, lands need to be resurveyed, causing less titles to be ready.
For the people who are benefiting, it's remind me, Doreen, how many titles in all you have? You have 50 titles here, but how many in all you have? Over 7,000 titles, and I'm gonna say some things about that. So we could make 7,000 families titled. But some of you owe some money.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness continues to work on its electronic health record system, the EHR system. The EHR is a digital version of a patient's medical history, maintained over time by a healthcare provider, and can be shared across various authorized healthcare centers. Jamaica's electronic health records system is now active at the Mapen Hospital in Clarendon. Dubbed eCare, the system is part of a public health overhaul that modernizes service delivery through implementation of digital health records. We have more in this report.
The digital transformation of Jamaica's public health sector is progressing, and a key component is the implementation of an electronic health record EHR system.
Electronic Health Record System, System 1, or SI for short. When the patient comes for registration process, we would input the data on S1, and then this data will come around to wherever the doctor is or the nurse is. So they do not need to be waiting on health records to go and retrieve the paper record to bring to them. And if the patient comes with any investigation with the blood results, X-ray, any form of laboratory results or any external result, we would upload those at the time of registration. So when they come to the doctor and the nurse, the information is readily available.
Doctors will be able to see diagnostic scans on their computers and tablets remotely.
Right, and it also allows multiple persons to be retrieving the data simultaneously, or we can do data entry simultaneously.
You can actually measure time from arrival to time of triage, and thereafter every interaction with every member of staff is actually timed. So it is good for tracking, whereas the previous system, if the doctor or the nurse never actually wrote the time that they were seeing, it doesn't get tracked as easily.
It's a shift from paper-based health records management that is allowing improved patient care coordination, enhanced data accuracy, and better decision-making by medical personnel.
The names come up on the system, and as they are seen, there's a color change, so you know which one is seen by the nurse, which one is already seen by the doctor, which one is discharged. So each one of those, if there's no color change, you know that person has not yet been seen. So in terms of efficiency, that's excellent.
The EHR is being implemented by the Ministry of Health as part of the Health Systems Strengthening Project, valued at over $5 million. The EHR allows for not just patient registration, but also appointment scheduling and patient assignment in the triage process.
I know that for the outpatients department, definitely throughput is much faster, and the chance of people getting missed or neglected in the clinic is almost nil now.
The system, which is intended to go island-wide, is being initially rolled out in 13 health facilities over an 18-month period. Mapen Hospital was the first to operationalize the electronic health record system.
The reason why we were the first, I think, is because we were the most ready to receive and accept such a new system.
The first phase rollout will also include the Chapelton, Spanish Town, and St. Anne's Bay hospitals, as well as the Mapen West, Mapen East, and St. Jago health centers.
In this week's Living Healthy report, we hear from a psychiatrist at Jamaica's public psychiatric healthcare facility, Bellevue Hospital, Dr. Brian Kazara, on mental health in the workplace. Dr. Kazar, in your experience, how does stress affect your mental health at a workplace?
Great question. So when it comes to workplace stress, there are a couple of factors. One is work culture. So if you're in an office environment or a workspace where your boss is very demanding or, unfortunately maybe very disrespectful to you, that can of course be a great source of stress. If you're in a workspace environment where you feel like some persons get away with some things and others don't, that is something that a lot of people have over the years described being a particularly frustrating thing to have to deal with, right? If you feel like you're in a workspace where you have to always be walking on eggshells because the boss or some colleague may explode at the slightest thing. If you feel like you're in a vindictive environment where even anything that could be perceived as a slight can be used against you, you don't feel free to speak, you don't feel free to talk. If it's a situation where you feel as though you don't, regardless of how much effort you put in, it's not really going to make a difference in terms of maybe your valuation, your prospects of promotion, things like that. There are some cases where, unfortunately, we know that people aren't necessarily getting some of the payments that they should be getting. They might be working overtime and the overtime isn't signed for. They may not be getting paid on time. So payment issues are a whole other section of stress that a lot of people can relate to. There might be significant pay delays, and we see that all the time. So those are some things that would contribute to stress in the workplace. Another thing that would contribute to stress in the workplace is long hours, and especially when sometimes these hours are very unpredictable. So there's this unwritten rule in many workplaces in Jamaica that if you just have to stay back an extra 2-3 hours, you just have to stay back. Right? And this can be regardless of what responsibilities you might have for younger children, your own personal commitments that you might have made. It's just somewhat expected, and that can also be really, really difficult and frustrating for someone to have to deal with. Aside from just work culture, interpersonal tensions in the workplace are common, very common. Patients come and tell me about that all the time, because the reality is that you're dealing with people from different backgrounds, different stages of life, going through different experiences at that point in time. And sometimes people carry some of their stress from home to work. And so you do find that kind of interpersonal tension is also a frequent cause of workplace stress. So those are some of the things I would say contribute to workplace stress and then reduce productivity, because now your attention is no longer solely on work. You're trying to figure out how you're going to navigate office politics. You're trying to figure out how you're not going to offend the boss, or how you're not going to upset the person that you're working right next to. You may, in fact, because you're so stressed, we know that when stress is significant, it does affect your ability to be attentive, to be able to concentrate. So that's another area. And of course, if all of these things are affecting your mood negatively, if you feel you have a very low mood, you're going to be less motivated. So a lot of times employers will hope that the persons that are working with them will go the extra mile. It's much harder to go the extra mile when you're not motivated. So that's another way that it can affect performance. There's this term that we're using, hopefully I'm quoting it properly, it's become quite popular, which is, I think it's called silent quitting. Hopefully I'm saying it right. And that whole idea is that you already are dissatisfied with your situation in the workplace. You're not going to put in any more effort than the bare minimum required to just ensure you do the basic tasks, right? But you're not necessarily going to go any higher, and part of that comes from this frustration that regardless of what you do, you might be treated unfairly, you may not get what you deserve, or you may still have to deal with these ongoing issues. So these are some ways in which workplace stress can actually contribute to reduced productivity in the workplace.
Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the stories shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. President of the Jamaica Coffee Exporters Association, Norman Grant, is moving to address concerns about the piracy of Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee in China. Mr. Grant, who also heads the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory, says he's working to convene a high-level meeting next week with stakeholders including the Chinese ambassador to Jamaica, Jamaica's ambassador to China, and officials from the Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Agriculture, as well as the Jamaica Commodities Regulatory Authority. The aim is to tackle the growing issue of counterfeit Blue Mountain coffee appearing in the Chinese market. Caribbean Cement Company says it plans to export 28,000 tons of cement to Caribbean markets starting next month. It follows the recent completion of its US $42 million expansion plan. Managing Director Jorge Martinez tells RJR News that the plan will see a 150,000 ton expansion in production to 1.15 million tons annually. He added that the company generated revenues of $27.9 billion last year, despite the fall in annual output to 950,000 metric tons due to the plant shutdown. The company also indicated that it generated net profits of $2 billion on revenues of $8.2 billion during the first quarter of this year, compared with $1.9 billion on revenues of $7.6 billion for the comparative period last year. For the trading period ending July 21, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Online education platform One-on-One Educational Services Limited with 6,120,393 units traded, representing 27.12% of market sales volume. Financial conglomerate NCB Financial Group Limited with 3,193,531 units traded, representing 14.15% of market sales volume. Energy firm Innovative Energy Group Limited with 2,989,832 units traded, representing 13.25% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On July 21, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $62.43 million purchased and US $61.02 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.69 per dollar, selling the US at $161.17 and buying the US at $159.48. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders $1.29 per transaction, with selling at $117.84 and buying at $116.55. The British pound yielded Forex traders $5.41 in profits, with selling at $215.05 and buying at $209.64. For our credit report tip of the day, if you're serious about building a business, start by checking your credit report. Before you design a logo, build a website, or pitch your first investor, pull your report, review it line by line, and understand your score. Why? Because your credit profile is often the first form of due diligence anyone will do on you as an entrepreneur. Lenders, landlords, suppliers, and partners don't just want to know what your business could do. They want to know how you handle responsibility. Your financial track record tells them that. So if you're in business or planning to be, your credit score isn't just personal, it's strategic. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step toward your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, The newly appointed United States ambassador to Haiti, Henry Wooster, says addressing the country's worsening security crisis is his top priority as criminal gangs continue efforts to destabilize the government. In a video message released this week, Ambassador Wooster expressed his commitment to supporting Haiti. His remarks come amid intensifying gang violence that has spread beyond the capital. According to the United Nations, Haiti has been locked in a cycle of violence from October 2024 through June 2025. Over 1.3 million Haitians have been displaced, marking the largest political displacement in the country's history. Ambassador Wooster's appointment comes as international efforts intensify to stabilize Haiti and restore public order, with security assistance and humanitarian relief expected to be high on the agenda. Over 1,800 nursing vacancies are waiting to be filled across Trinidad and Tobago's regional health authorities. That's according to Health Minister Dr. Lakram Boudou, who is urging collaboration from the nursing sector as the government works to expand healthcare services. His remarks came during an oath-taking and pinning ceremony for new nursing graduates from the University of the West Indies, where officials called on the next generation of nurses to lead with compassion, commitment, and care. TTT's Claire Sheroyd brings us the details.
Minister of Health Dr. Lakram Boudou, highlighting the crucial role that nurses play in healthcare, said his ministry is working on filling over 1,800 nursing vacancies in regional health authorities.
Currently, at the NWRHA, there are 625 vacancies. At the NCRHA, there were 143 vacancies. At the SWRHA, there are 719 vacancies. At the ERHA, there are 381 vacancies. So that's currently just over 1,800 vacancies. So there is opportunity. And of course, as the Minister of Health and as a government, we have to find a way to ensure that you access those opportunities.
Dr. Boudou urged for collaboration from nurses and the Nursing Council as the ministry works on expanding services.
We're trying as a government to expand services. And we need the cooperation of nurses. We need you to work with us. We need the council to work with us. We need the association to work with us. It's not a perfect situation, but we are all working for the same cause, and we are working for the patients. We are working for the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
President of the Nursing Council of Trinidad and Tobago, Corey George, advised the graduates to be guided by their commitment and dedication to the profession.
You have been given the knowledge and taught the skills needed to provide high-quality care to the people of this nation. But more than that, you must let your commitment and dedication flow from a place of true care and compassion. Let that be the foundation of your practice.
The oath-taking and pinning ceremony saw 18 nursing students from the University of the West Indies pledge to uphold the ethical principles and professional standards of the nursing profession.
Guyana is now the host of major climate and biodiversity coalition. With 80% of its land covered in rainforest, Guyana is being praised for its environmental stewardship and key role in the Amazon basin. Visiting officials, including from the United Kingdom, say they are committed to supporting Guyana's efforts, including through climate finance and partnerships with indigenous communities. The UK is also pushing for broader reforms to unlock more funding for countries on the front lines of the climate crisis. We have more details in this report.
I think it's wonderful that Guyana is hosting this very important global coalition and the alliance coming together. Guyana is a country that has done remarkably well to protect its rainforests. It's a country with 80% coverage of rainforests, and people forget the huge importance that Guyana plays in the Guyana Shield and to the Amazon basin. And I'm very pleased that the United Kingdom continues to support countries like Guyana in their endeavors. We are absolutely committed to 30 by 30. It's essential that we get there. We also use our ICF and our climate finance, which totals £11.6 billion to contribute to supporting countries in their efforts. And we have a fund of 239 million supporting diversity and biodiversity globally. And I've seen programs in Guyana supporting fishing, for example, dealing with some of the issues and pollutions that come from mining. Essentially, it is important that we get alongside Amerindian communities. Also, they are the primary custodians of our biodiversity, and Guyana is in very good shape to lead on this agenda as well. We are absolutely clear that the UK will use its leadership role on the board of the World Bank to assist in this area and to press for climate finance solutions that support the global south, and also particularly support small island states. You know, Mia Motley, just next door in Barbados, has done a lot to lead on the Bridgetown agenda particularly, and we think that there's more that needs to be done in that arena. So it's through our MDBs, it's through our support for the Caribbean Development Bank, particularly, that we can also encourage more finance.
In a sports report, we're all about cricket. Despite a narrow defeat in the opening T20 International, veteran West Indies all-rounder Jason Holder says the team remains confident of turning the series around against Australia. The West Indies were edged out by 3 wickets on Sunday in the first match of the 5-game series after a stuttering performance with the bat and an inconsistent showing with the ball. As the series shifts to Sabina Park for the second encounter today, Holder believes the team is capable of making the necessary adjustments. Barbados women were crowned champions of the 2025 West Indies Rising Stars Women's Under-19 Championship, following an impressive showing throughout the tournament, which concluded with an awards ceremony recognizing top performers and long-standing contributors to the women's game. Here's more from Nasira Mohammed.
Among the highlights of the 2025 West Indies Rising Stars Women's Under-19 Championship was the brilliant all-round display by Sainavi Kambalapali of the Leeward Islands, who was named Most Valuable Player. Kambalapali scored 167 runs at an average of 83.50 and took 11 wickets at an average of 7.18. She also walked away with a batter with the most runs award. Barbados' Nijani Cumberbatch dominated with the ball, claiming 17 wickets at an average of 3.82, earning the bowler with the most wickets award, and played a key role in her team's title run. Fellow Barbadian and captain Tiani Herbert Mears was named her team's outstanding player. The Best Wicketkeeper award was shared between Kayla George of the Windward Islands and Catherine Bean Rosario of the Leeward Islands, both recording 4 dismissals during the tournament. Natalia Phillip, also from the Windward Islands, claimed the fielder with the most catches award with a total of 4. In a special segment of the award ceremony, Marjorie Thomas, Stephanie Power and Anne Brown-John were honored for their long-standing service and unwavering dedication to the development of women's cricket in the Caribbean. Their pioneering work and commitment continue to inspire generations of young female cricketers across the region. The 2025 edition of the Rising Stars Under-19 Championship once again highlighted the depth of emerging talent in West Indies women's cricket, with promising performances across all 6 participating teams and a continued focus on strengthening the women's game at the youth level.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.